Welcome, and tonight we are here at our ISD 709 school board meeting. It is our regularly scheduled school board meeting, but it is Thursday, February 29th. I think that's iconic. We're having a school board meeting, and we won't have one like this again for 4 years. So appreciate this. Let's look at each other. I wonder if we'll all be at the same table on a leap year time. But it is 6:35. Again, we meet once a month at what we call our regular school board meeting, and it is a meeting that has an agenda. It's a meeting that has important topics that we will hear and then we'll vote on, and that's the biggest connection to our regular school board meetings. Well, it's not the biggest, but it's the thing that differentiates our meetings is that at this meeting, we take formal votes. Many of the things we'll vote on tonight, we have already heard presentations on. So sometimes when our community watches us and we move things and we vote and there's very little discussion, it's because if you go back a few meetings or a few months, you'll see that we have had either closed sessions or committee of the whole meetings on it, or other school board meetings in past months on that. So we appreciate that you're here. We are with agendas tonight, and I will turn it, right now we have Member Zadowski who is joining us on our screen. The beauty of technology is that if by state statute, we know that a member of our school board will not be able to make the meeting, if we note that in our 3-day advance notification and there is an address that is open to the public, then we can allow a school board member to attend a meeting virtually, still hold a vote, and be considered present. Otherwise, if a school board member either is ill or has an emergency and we don't notify the public of a board member's absence, we cannot invite that board member into the boardroom for voting. So just a thank you to Member Zadowski for being willing to take time out of another busy time in her life where she is out of the state and be able to attend our meeting. So that's kind of why you see the screen there. So I'm going to turn it over. So Member Loeffler Kemp, who has had many years and has probably been a clerk during her service on the board, is going to step in for Member Zadowski. So I'll turn it over to Member Loeffler Kemp to take roll.
Thank you. Henry Banks.
Here.
Kelly Derrick Eater.
Here.
Myself is here. Jill Lofold.
Here.
Sarah Michael.
Here.
Member Sadowski.
Here.
Okay. Stephanie Williams is excused. Superintendent Magus.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Bonds.
Present.
Deputy Clerk Simone Zunich.
Present.
Executive Director of HR Operations Teresa Severance.
Present.
Secretary Patty Paquette.
Here.
And then student reps, ALC Damon Ritzko.
Present.
And Denfeld Larissa Miller.
Here.
And East Mia Petronas.
Here.
So next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So I ask our community to rise, and those flags are up here to the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going on to our agenda, board members, I'm looking for an approval of our agenda. We've had it in our board book, and we've had time to review our items, so I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So move.
A second?
Second.
So it's moved by Member Eater and seconded by Member Banks. Is there any discussion? Any additions? Seeing none, I'm asking for a roll call vote because Member Zadowski is not present, and so the state statute rule says that we have to do roll call votes tonight. So that'll be good.
Member Banks.
Yes.
Member Derrick Eater.
Yes.
Yes. Member Leffler Camp, Member Lofold,
Yes.
Member Michaelsell,
Yes.
Member Sadowski,
Yes.
and again, Williams is excused, so it's 6-0.
Thank you. And just a reminder too for our board members and then for our guests that speak, our mics will turn green when we are able to have the mic on, and then when we're not speaking, if you can keep them off, that keeps that noise down. And the biggest reason for the mics, because a lot of us maybe are hesitant or don't think we need it, but the biggest reason we do that is because we do live stream. So right now, there are people in our community that are able to watch right now. And then we also load this meeting up on our YouTube, and we get our community to watch. So the mic is really important in those instances. So I appreciate that. So we have an approval of the agenda. So number 5 on our agenda is the school and community recognition. And I turn that over to Assistant Superintendent Bonds.
Thank you, and good evening, board and audience. While I thoroughly enjoy always providing the recognition, today our superintendent will be providing the recognition. So I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Maggis.
Thank you, everyone. Dear school board members and community members, February is Minnesota School Board Recognition Month. It's a great time to recognize our elected community members who selflessly give their time and energy in support of high-quality public schooling for our youth. This commemorative month is designated to recognize the contributions made by Minnesota school board members, including the Duluth School Board, who are charged with governing public education under state law. School boards are charged with making decisions that can sometimes be quite difficult or require sifting through a great deal of information. Tonight's agenda is no different. They bear the responsibility for developing a vision that will guide the school district for years to come. And as you look outside and you see our school vision and our mission and our values, those are examples of previous work and work yet to come. They also bear the responsibility for ensuring that there's collaboration through the team and that with the district school staff, their governance and advocacy are building the future for a future of education in Minnesota. This February, we thank the school board for volunteering their time in I'm reading through my readers, so it's a little different than my regular glasses. So my words are jumping around a little bit. This February, we want to thank the school board for volunteering their time and playing a critical civic role that helps them form the bedrock of our democracy, which is public education. As a crucial bridge between the local community and the school district, their efforts are instrumental in helping all of us realize the hopes and dreams we have for our children and our community. And I think about our school board and our school board members. We've worked really hard over the 3.5 years that I've been superintendent, and working with the new board is no different. We have worked really hard to focus on governance, on leadership, on policy creation, on creating a good budget that leaves us in a good financial shape. We've worked to reform our curriculum, and soon we'll be offering a different way of serving our students from K-12 through 12. And so we are hugely appreciative of our school board. So let's have a round of applause for our school board members. And we also have shared in a variety of other ways. Our communications officer, Adele Wellens, has put together individual reports on each of our school board members, which were shared out on Facebook and other social media. And if you want to learn more about our individual school board members, check out the Duluth Public Schools Facebook page for more information. And instead of certificates, we've done certificates in the past, but we wanted to do something a little different. So we have little Duluth Public Schools pins that we have for our school board members tonight. And I just want to share one with each of our school board members. And personally and professionally as superintendent, the relationship between superintendent and school board is very, very close. It's very important. And I want to thank you as my bosses and as individuals. I'm hugely appreciative for the team that we have. also would like to say thanks to Adele Wellens because she is a wellspring of creative ideas for celebration. Thank you, Adele.
Any board member want to say anything? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Don't feel like you have to, but
I think I would like to. Thank you very
Member
much.
Bates.
I am very grateful to be on the Duluth School Board, and I know we are moving forward in a very positive way. We have wonderful staff and faculty, and my first couple of months have been exceptional, and I look forward to the next 4 years. So thank you all for everything.
Member Loeffler Kemp.
Yeah, I just would add to that. I always, often when I'm addressing any group about being a school board member, I start out by saying it's an honor and it's a privilege to serve the students, the staff, and the community with ISD 709. And I just think that it truly is. We put in a lot of time. We put in, go to a lot of meetings, but it truly is an honor and a privilege. And many of us right now are intentionally getting out to schools the next few months and doing tours with the principal. Sarah Micasell and I were at East today, and it's just been really great to get out. We're all out in schools in lots of different ways, but again, just get out and really have the stories to tell of the great things that are happening in our schools. And I know I have a whole lot of new stories to tell after today and an earlier visit I did out at Lakewood this week. So, yeah, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege.
Seeing no other lights, and again, I remind you guys too to put that microphone up front there, so it's not hidden by like your name tag, and we've got a lot of things. We've got plants, we've got mugs, we've got business cards, tonight, we're appreciative of the larger table space that we have in our new facility too. So moving on to our agenda is number 6, and it is Career and Technical Education CTE presentation. And we have a power presentation as well, and we have Principal on Special Assignment, Danette Sebo.
Thank you. Principal on Special Assignment sounds super cool.
But am I right in that?
You are
Okay,
correct,
okay.
yes. And so I have been in charge of the district's career and technical education programs for the past 5 years, I believe. There used to be a full-time coordinator here, and that went away, and I took it on. I came from a school that was very strong in career and tech ed, and principals have to play an active role in smaller districts, but this is my first year now in this new role, and one of my primary duties is administering our career and tech ed programs. Also, since the last time I came to see you, I am a yaya. We had our granddaughter in December. Yeah, Greek. Yes. I just discovered the photos my children have been sending are live pictures, so I was really engrossed in those before the board meeting. I'll show you later if you want. So we are really excited about opportunities for growth, part of which comes with a dedicated position back to support these. It allows me to be out in the schools with the staff, with the advisory boards, out at the workforce board meetings, really partnering with a lot of groups across the region, and I am so thankful for the staff we have. We have increasing numbers of fully licensed career and tech ed staff. There are unique pathways to licensure, so we're pulling people out of industry and getting them licensed as teachers and working through that process. And then we also have teachers who came through a traditional teaching program who are also doing these programs for us. So we have fantastic staff. We are growing. I'm going to show you some numbers in a little bit, but you might be surprised at the number of students in our high schools who take career and tech ed. So I'm going to get going. A couple of the areas that we're focusing on this year are really making our programs of study robust. They have to have a pathway through, they have to have an introductory level course, moving through advanced, and then our next goal will be into a work-based learning opportunity. This semester, we're partnering with Essentia and Cirrus and potentially the Guard Base to start to tiptoe out into these career and tech ed connected work-based learning placements. Those create partnerships between the instructor, the school, and the student, Some of them are paid, and so we're looking forward to some really unique experiences for students there. We are also trying to grow programs that are in high demand and are high-wage careers in our area. And so you'll hear about some new courses that have been selected for that reason, and we'll see how registration goes and how many of those courses we're able to run. So the first couple of slides are really just some general information about career and technical education. It's not what most of us grew up with. It is very different now. High school CTE concentrators are students that start in a program and continue moving through, are much more likely to graduate on time than their peers who are not participating in a CTE program. And in addition, within 8 years after graduation, students who concentrated in CTE are statistically making considerably more than their peers who did not. So keep that in mind as we go through. Patty, thank you. We'll go to the next one. More than 44% of students at Denfeld and East right now are in a career and technical education class. And that's if our coding is correct in Infinite Campus, which is another project that we're working on. But career and tech ed courses integrate core academic knowledge with technical and occupational knowledge and skills. We work really hard to connect students to a variety of careers and really help them explore careers in the fields they're learning about. They have pathways to post-secondary education. We offer college credits, transcripted college credits, so some of our classes have that CITS label. Many of them have articulated credits, which mean you have to enroll in the college that offers them. So if you take construction classes at East or automotive classes at Denfeld, for example, that articulation agreement means that if you go to Lake Superior College, you either take less classes, or if they do want you to repeat for more course-specific content, often they're free. So there's incentive for students to continue in those programs. In addition, students are picking up a lot of certifications along the way that will make them more employable. You'll be hearing something exciting soon from SolidWorks for Education, the national company, about one of our recent graduates who mastered it. He knocked it out of the park. So I'll have more on that for you later, but that's a really exciting thing that really reflects the professional certifications that our students pick up in these programs. We really stress that career and tech ed is for all. I'll let you go to the next slide. Thank you. It's for students who have no idea what they want to do. It's a fantastic exploration opportunity. It's for students who know what they want to do. They want to go to a 2 or 4 year college or university. It is for students who plan to enlist in the military, for those who want to go straight to work and who already know they would like to go into an apprenticeship or training program. Every single high school student can benefit from career and technical education courses, and we work hard. We have goals that are set to make sure that we're really encouraging students who are underrepresented in our programs to try them, to take them. They're great for special education students. Our teachers are fantastic at modifying them. They're very hands-on. We're getting students connected to, excuse me, all kinds of things. Each year I like to remind you that we are part of a consortium. I'm not going to dig into CTE funding right now. That's a little bit more boring chunk of slides, but you'll probably hear that next year. I tend to do that every other year. The bulk of our new and innovative equipment and field trip funding comes from the consortium grant, which we split between all of these member schools. A few years back, actually this might be our first year, we adopted the Carleton consortium, and so we grew considerably. We were a much smaller consortium a couple of years ago, but that also allows us to work closely with other schools for field trip opportunities, for course sharing. The teachers meet together in a number of different ways to support each other and share ideas and network, and it's fantastic. So thank you. The career fields and clusters, you will see these colors and very specific icon logos across the state of Minnesota. The colors are national, and so you'll see us start to align that. You'll see that trickle into our course catalog next year and signage outside of those programs. You'll see it on my slides where we're going to highlight the courses in a minute. But we are really going to try to lay out pathways in all of these fields that pull in all of our courses. So tonight we're going to focus on CTE, but one of our other goals with, in particular, my program is to really help lay out some pathways towards college and career readiness for our students. And you'll see a lot of these color combinations really start to be used just for clarity for students. So it's tiny writing, but it's there. And then I'll also remind you that in Career and Tech Ed, we also focus on those foundation knowledge and skills in the center. You can see that on your own screen a little better than on the projected screen, but our instructors work hard to embed those kinds of learning opportunities in the things they're doing in all of our programs. All right, we would like to give you an overview because we do have some new courses coming and we're kind of realigning some of our other courses. So we have courses that don't sit in Career and Tech Ed currently that should be part of our programs. That allows them to be part of our funding streams. It allows them to be part of the field trip opportunities and the professional development that we provide to career and technical education, the support from our community and business partners. And so you'll see some more traditional courses that are popping into these fields. But they're not all necessarily new, and I'll explain those in a minute. So we have had aerospace physics at all 3 high schools. Sorry, not AEO, 3 out of the 4. Denfeld, East, and ALC have aerospace physics classes. It meets the 1.0 physics requirement. Career and technical education classes can do that if we can give evidence that we're meeting all of the standards for that area. And there are some teacher licensing requirements that go with that too, but physics is one of them. Because aeronautics is, sorry, I'll have you back up one. Aeronautics is now its own career field with the state of Minnesota. It's not just part of transportation or communication careers. We needed to add a second course. There has to be a progression. Aerospace physics is a pretty advanced course. There's a lot of math in physics, and it's a fairly rigorous course. We don't have an introductory level, and so what you will see in all of our programs, potentially even in AEO, is a new one called Introduction to Aviation, Aerospace History, and Aerospace Engineering Design. We have a meeting up at Monaco Air with Monaco and Cirrus and Lake Superior College in a couple of weeks. They're going to help us design that course. So we're looking forward to that. Agriculture, Foods, and Natural Resources, more often called AFNR because that line is a mouthful. No new courses here. One of the things that I forgot to mention is that we are really trying to recreate programs on both sites. It is incredibly difficult to bus students from one end of town to the other. This year with transportation difficulties, they didn't get to go to class for the first 3 weeks of school. Nobody's fault, it's just what happened. But that's a really difficult thing. So we only have 3 programs left where we're busing students and we aren't able to recreate them. One of them is because there's a greenhouse at East, there's not one at Denfeld, and there's a school forest at East, and there's not one at Denfeld. The 1-hour classes, so the intro to AFNR and the plant science fall and spring, we've created some growing opportunities in a classroom at Denfeld, and so those can be taught on both sides of campus. So no new classes there again. Next year, I think we'll trickle into, we really need to have an animal science component in this program. We'll see where that grows. Arts, Communication, and Information Systems. This program, our graphic arts program, has been around for a long time. It is at both Denfeld and East. It is a very expensive equipment-heavy course, and students who join those tend to develop a passion in it and might take it all 4 years. So they might take that advanced graphic arts twice. It does also satisfy the fine arts requirement because, again, it meets those standards and the teacher is licensed appropriately. Our automotive careers is one of the programs that we can't recreate on both campuses because we don't have a shop at East. So these are all block classes. They have to sit in a block because we have to bus. And so what happens then, in addition to transportation challenges, is that the students who are coming get half the class time of the students who are on site already. So that's challenging to the instructors, to the students, and to the program as a whole. But automotive will have to stay at Denfeld, but it is open to all. Business management and information is again at all of our high schools, including ALC. Not all of the courses run at both. It's really based on student requests. The new one in there that's new, it's running this year, is AP Computer Science. Denfeld, someone at Denfeld, sorry, I can't think of it right now, got a grant to get us rolling in that program. In addition, the state is mandating embedding computer science principles and standards, K-12. So this was a really good foot in the door. At some point that will branch off and computer science and information systems will become its own program. out of the business courses. Our business courses are typically very full, and we'll need to add some expertise and potentially equipment to run a full computer science program. So nothing new or changing there. The AP Computer Science came in late last spring and is running both at Denfeld and at East. Excuse me. Construction is not new to us. What has changed is that the transportation difficulties became virtually insurmountable for this program. Historically, this program built houses with a variety of different organizations, but most often Lake Superior College, and their home building site is just not in an area we can bus kids to for any length of time. So for the last few years, you've seen and probably helped us reach out to find projects in our local community where our students could go and work on a garage or a deck. With transportation challenges, we can't dedicate a bus to just go straight to the site from each campus. It has to stop at one site, pick up the rest of the construction kids, and then go. And we had students on the construction site less than 35 minutes. That's not sustainable. So we have moved construction on site at East. This year is running that way. And so you'll see a rework because we're less about home building now. That was really the program approval we had, was really focused on home building. This one will be a little more robust. So the courses are being changed up. We'll offer a 1-hour intro to construction and a 1-hour woodworking, and we believe we can offer those both at Denfeld and East. And then construction trades 1 and 2, and will allow students to advance again in construction trades 2, should they choose to. But these are the construction trades classes will have to stay in the block because those will only be at East. We again hope to offer the others in 1 hour at both sites. Engineering and manufacturing looks really overwhelming. It includes engineering, manufacturing, and as of right now, architecture. You met Mr. Simons upstairs today. He is perpetually on an overload and his class is packed, and he would love to teach well into the evening if he could. So at some point, the architecture piece of that might have to branch off, and we might have to post for that at East because there's just not enough space, and that doesn't need the manufacturing shop or the engineering computers. So, but right now, those are offered in 1-hour blocks, both at Denfeld and at East. And what runs is slightly different on either side, just based on student enrollment. We can offer welding. So the Fab Lab that you saw there really isn't offered at East because we don't have that welding component. That's an air exchange issue for us. Healthcare careers right now for us is limited by instructor. It is incredibly difficult to find one. We have a very robust healthcare careers programs. Our students in career and technical education programs also participate in extracurricular opportunities, usually clubs that compete. And our students participate in HOSA, and almost always we have students rank #1 in the state and then advance to nationals if we can find the funding to get them there. So in our healthcare careers programs, we have a 1-hour class called Emergency Medical Responder. That is not a new class. What will be different for next year is that we hope to become a state-approved program, and our students will actually pick up their first 2-year certification in EMR with us. Any students going into a first responder career will need to get that and renew it every 2 years. We would love to be able to offer that certificate right here in school. Ultimately, we'd love to be able to offer the full EMT certification, so this also starts us down that pathway. CITS Healthcare Occupations and Intro to Nursing are our pre-nursing programs. They offer transcripted college credit from Lake Superior College, and then when students complete Intro to Nursing, they do their clinicals and they also earn their CNA. The 1-hour EMR class and the block, the Healthcare Occupations and Intro to Nursing have to stay in a block. They're offered at both sites, but due to the nature of what they're doing and the clinicals and the procedures and testing that they're doing, those need to be longer chunks of time. Anatomy and Physiology and CITS version of that will be pulled into this program. Most schools have them there. It makes sense for them to be there and really become part of our robust CTE program. So not new courses, just some changes coming there. And then we have our emergency responder careers pathway. So it's actually going to sit in some different chunks of things. It is a human services career field. The EMR course will fit in here. And new courses we're offering this year are the fire science course, which is an introduction to firefighting. We'll be working with LSC on that. Forensic science, which could potentially come with college credit, these will all be semester-based, 1-hour classes, really introductory, and then we'll grow from there. And then intro to law enforcement, we'll be working with Fond du Lac College, potentially offering college credit there, and then pulling our civil and criminal law classes into those. Those are not new classes. They will be new to the pathway if we pull them in there. So looking forward to some exciting brand new pathways there. Oh, I think I duplicated this slide. I apologize. I put it on the front one and forgot to delete this one, so we can skip it. Hospitality careers, culinary. We now have a teacher back at East. It is a full-time teacher. You met him upstairs today. Chef Wisaki and Chef Stacy at Denfeld. Those programs have always grown a little bit different based on student interest and what runs at the student. We won't be able to bring back the traditional restaurant to East. That was incredibly cost prohibitive. We had to have 3 full-time staff members there for typically less than 8 students. Combined with the challenge of bringing in 60 to 70, mostly senior citizens in the middle of the day with no parking and no secured doors. But anyways, what will happen next year now that we have staff on both sites, they've been really meeting and talking about what they'd like to see happen at each site. Intro to baking, again, sorry, these are offered on both sides, but due to the nature of cooking, some of them have to be in a block. You can't bake in a 48-minute class period. So intro to baking will come, that will support the deli or coffee shops or whatever they grow into next year. I'll let them release that when they're ready. Meal prep and packaging, again, supports those deli services, and then advanced culinary for those students who want to continue moving through the program. Intro to cooking is hugely popular. It's full-time at both campuses right now. So having that drop to 1 to 2 hours a day will really challenge us. But we have to offer the intro and we have to offer a progression. So again, we'll be limited by staffing and facilities there. Childcare and education careers has been partially on hold. We have a licensed teacher who teaches the childcare courses, but she's been on a mid-career leave. So we continue to offer child development and child psychology. That's when we can run as a social studies class, more as a child psychology class. So that's been running, but not career and tech ed. And then the early childhood and education professions is a block class that used to run at Denfeld. We hope to bring that back when she returns, and then we'll decide how the course progresses. What will be different in this program for next year is our Pathways to Teaching course. So for those of you who are new, we worked with, the name's gonna escape me because I'm trying to think of it now. Denver. Anyways, this is a fantastic program. It's really focusing on social justice in education. We received a great training. We have teachers, there's 2 at Denfeld and 1 at East who are both teaching this. It's been a traditionally small class. That CITS label, we think, is one of the reasons it's intimidating, and it's intense. The topics that they're talking about are challenging and intense. Once the students get in, they love it. So we're gonna try something a little different there. St. Scholastica offers our college credit there. We're gonna break the course into 2 chunks, and the college credit will be attached to the second semester. So now you can try it and then advance to the college. They'll still get the same amount of credits. We're just splitting it up to try and recruit more students. So, and this is a very unique CITS course. Part of its intentionality is really trying to increase representation in our teaching ranks. Students who participate in this program have a leg up in getting into St. Scholastica. We agreed to give them a leg up in hiring if they wanted to work as a paraprofessional here with us. So we're really trying to reboot that. It kind of fell apart during COVID, and we're really trying to get it back, and Scholastica has been a great partner with us there. So they're supporting us through this program, so. New this year, Minnesota, the High School Principals, Secondary Principals Association has Minnesota Honor Society, which is the state version of the National Honor Society. There's a National Technical Honor Society, which focuses more on post-secondary programs. Minnesota principals have now brought in, somebody in the room may have helped this, Technical Honor Society. And so we will be one of the first 7 schools to start this. Our students will have a chance to participate in statewide student leadership training, student leadership opportunities. Just like the National Honor Society or the Minnesota Honor Society, there will be a service learning component. Our students will be recognized for participating and being honored in our Technical Honor Society at commencement, just like the NHS does. So looking forward to that. This will be at both Denfeld and East. And this is my last slide, just some data to share with you. I don't have updated numbers yet, so you're looking at 2020 and 2021 numbers. They just didn't give me a pretty slide like this to share with you again, but this really references what I mentioned earlier about the success of our students who participate in career and technical education programming. And that is all I have. So thank you again for coming up to participate in our showcase. We look to make that a little bit bigger and shinier every year. The students love to come and show you what they've done and gift you with things, and the instructors, in case you hadn't noticed, love to talk about their programs. So thank you so much for coming up and spending time with us today and for your support of our programs. Thank you.
Any quick questions? And Member Zadowski, please show us a sign or just turn your mic on if you want to share something, or Member Banks?
Yeah. I have just a quick question. That last slide before the final slide on the Technical Honor Society, you mentioned 7 schools or 7 districts, or?
So this, as part of the Minnesota Association of Secondary School Principals, sits under there. So the principals give that recognition and honor, and that's how the National Honor Society works as well. To start in this program, there are 7 other, I think 7, maybe more now, but other high schools in the state of Minnesota that are ready to start that mid-year like we are. And then it will grow from there into hopefully hundreds of high schools in the state of Minnesota. So we like to be cutting edge. Yeah.
See no other lights. I do see Superintendent Magus, but certainly as board members, as you either review this presentation in our YouTube recording, or if just something comes up in the next few days, I know that Principal Sebo will certainly be interested in any observations or questions that you might have. And so then I'll turn it over to Superintendent Magus.
Sure. I just want to again say thank you for the tremendous work that was done for the CTE showcase. I think it showcases so many things, how well our students do with great programming, how great our teachers are, and also the leadership that we have in our CTE program is exceptional, and we really appreciate what you're able to offer. I also think about the future of our programming and thinking about sustainability. I know that we've worked to include part of the CTE replacement cycle into our referendum, and just wondering if you might want to, for the public, just talk for a moment about how you see a need for us to ensure that we have replacement of some of the equipment and software and other things for our CTE robust programming.
Absolutely. Technology is huge in all of our programs. So the technology that we would all be familiar with, including desktop computers, in order to run our engineering programs, our graphic arts programs, our business simulation programs, we need high functioning computers. And so don't tell the teachers this, but the students in those programs have better computers than any of us have, because they need graphics cards to support those things. much more often than we're ready to replace them, they no longer support the next version of the operating system, and we have to use the next version. We can't use an old version that's not supported, particularly around student security. So that's an obvious one. If you visit our machine shops, you'll see that a lot of those machines need a computer right next to it to run it. So there's the traditional technology that goes with it, but for our engineering, we need annual subscriptions to SolidWorks. Graphic Arts needs Adobe Photoshop. Those are very expensive programs. We have programs that we need to use for curriculum in business, in automotive. We have safety testing that has to be done online in many of our programs. So there's a lot of traditional technology and software needs in all of these programs. And then there's the actual equipment that they're using. So a CNC machine is $75,000. A laser engraver is $35,000. We don't have the budget to sustain those things. And the number of schools that are applying for that same little chunk of grant money, we take turns. So while we might get a piece of equipment this year, next year it's going to be Moose Lake and Hermantown. There's just not enough money to go around to support these programs. And so what happens is that I've used the phrase MacGyvering before, the verb, we MacGyver it. We figure out a way to get that 1981 stacking stove at East functional for this year. We figure out a way to jury rig, whatever the term is, a safety stop on a saw. None of that is ideal. A machine that's 25 plus years old, some of our machines, unfortunately many, are older than the instructors teaching on them. They don't have the same safety features as we would like to offer our students. In addition, a goal of these programs, a requirement of these programs, is that we're teaching industry standards. We have advisory boards with people who are doing this in the workplace right now, and we're not able to offer our students the experience on the machines and the equipment that they're going to use in the field. And often they're so old that there's not much of a connection with what's being used right now. So we work really hard to identify our dire needs and have had great district support there when a machine is absolutely dead and gone and over. But even that's, it's a tremendous cost for much of this equipment, and costs went up a lot post-COVID. So it's a challenge. And I would also say that these programs, more than any other program except for maybe science and art, have incredibly high supply costs. To run one semester of an Intro to Foods class is $6,000 worth of food, and we cannot charge the students, nor can we sell that. It's an introductory class. So in some of our programs, like in auto, if we take in a car that we're working on, we buy the parts and fix the car for that individual, we can charge a little bit of a shop fee, but we're not actually making money. We're just recouping our supply costs. It's not necessarily covering the cost of safety glasses and gloves and all of the other equipment that we need to run them. So it is definitely a challenge to sustain these programs, and we are borrowing one to pay for the other and making tough decisions along the way about what we can or can't offer our students. Historically, we have not supported our middle school feeder program courses. They are not technically under the CTE umbrella. They're not part of the what you'll hear about. It's not really a levy, but we can't recoup 35% of the middle school costs. They can't access the grant, for example. But they need wood, they need food, they need computers. So we have to support them because we want students to have those experiences. So again, now we're stretched awfully thin. So it's definitely a huge challenge just to maintain what we have, let alone identify growth. So many of the new classes that you saw there either use the equipment we already have or are not equipment heavy classes. I'm not going to buy a fire truck to offer Intro to Firefighting, but it also costs money, and it's not an insignificant amount of money to take students to a facility to go see those things, to experience, have some kind of experiential learning. And we really do want all of our programs to take students to the training programs, the post-secondary institutions, and the businesses that are doing them now. That's a huge component for us, is getting them out there, and field trips are expensive. So yes, good question, thank you. All right.
Thank you, yeah. So going on to our next item on our agenda, it is number 7, 2024 concurrence and non-concurrence presentation.
Thank you. You want to both come on up? I'll start off with a little introduction here. Every year, districts are required to present its annual compliance of concurrence and non-concurrence. Jennifer Garbo, she is our new coordinator for the Office of American Indian Education. I don't think you've had the chance to really be formally introduced to the board, so welcome to the district, and I want to, again, introduce Jennifer Garbo. She also has Amber Greensky, who is the chair for the APAC committee, which is the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. And they are here to, again, discuss the chair's recommendations as well as the status of the district's concurrence or non-concurrence. In your packet, board members, I have provided you with 4 documents before I turn it over to our coordinator. You have a packet. It's called the Annual Compliance of Concurrence and Non-Concurrence. It's meant to provide you with some background information, especially knowing that we have new school board members as well as student reps. So I want to make sure you have a full understanding or awareness of what is this. Also in there, you have a document that says the American Parent Advisory Committee's recommendation for concurrence and non-concurrence. That is the 2022-2023 recommendation. Also, there's another document in there is the district's response to the 22-23 concurrence or non-concurrence. So last year we were, I don't want to say identified, it was stated that we were in non-concurrence, and the district has responded, so I wanted to make sure that the board and student reps were provided some information related to how the district responded and all of its action steps, so that document is in there. And then we have this year's recommendation again from our APAC. So I will turn it over to our coordinator, Garbo.
Mr. Bonds, could you introduce them? I want to make sure I have their names correct, so I just,
Yep.
okay. Yeah.
There. Did everyone hear that? It's green now. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was on. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself and to say I too am very grateful and feel very honored and privileged to be doing this work on behalf of our American Indian students and working for the school district. So I have a presentation that I'm going to be presenting next week at COW. And I want to introduce, and for some of you, the newer board members, or reintroduce our departments, and then share some goals and have an opportunity for some conversation. But right now, I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself, and I am going to turn it over to Amber now to share with you all. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Amber Greensky. As stated, I am the interim chairman for the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. I want to say thank you for welcoming me into this space to present our annual compliance vote and resolution. It is required by statutory deadline to occur before March 1st, so I appreciate allowing me onto the agenda today. So on 2/20/24, our APAC convened and issued a vote of non-concurrence. Just like to state that we, the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee, issue a vote of non-concurrence. We attest that the school board and our district are not compliant with Minnesota statutes and that the school board and our district are not meeting the needs of American Indian students. We have provided written recommendations for improvement to the school board, which is right here, and I will pass that over, and we acknowledge that the school board has 60 days from the receipt of these recommendations in which to respond in writing to each recommendation. Graduation rate is arguably the most objective and comprehensive metric to evaluate if the educational needs of our students are being met. The most recent four-year graduation rate for American Indian students, as reported by Duluth Public Schools, is 43.58. This graduation rate follows the flat graduation rate trend recorded by MDE in the Minnesota Report Card. Utilizing database decision-making and rudimentary risk assessment, it's not likely that an American Indian student entering the 9th grade in Duluth Public School District will graduate on time. Therefore, this APAC cannot concur that the educational needs of our American Indian students are being met. This APAC is sensitive to the fact that there's been significant change in leadership within the Duluth Public School District American Indian Education Department, and we are motivated to support the district in meeting the unique educational and cultural needs of its American Indian students. We have convened as a committee to discuss the vote, the resolution statement, and formulate recommendations for improvement. Many of these recommendations may be currently in process, but have been included as they are not easily identifiable. I will pass this over for you. Thank you.
Amber, was the goal at this point in time just to give the board an opportunity to just review the recommendations, or were you going to walk through them or?
I guess I will leave it up to the board. If you want me to walk through the recommendations, I absolutely can. I think the only requirement by statute is that I present and get a signature from our superintendent and our chairman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as I indicated to the board, you have several documents that has also been attached in board book for some background information. As indicated, we have 60 days to respond. Last year's recommendation or vote was also non-concurrent, and the district has responded in, I would say, in very meaningful ways, as indicated. So that information is also found within the document that has been attached. We will have a lot of opportunity to go into great dialogue next week at the COW meeting. So if you have any questions now, I would ask the board to ask those questions at the COW meeting, because that's where we really have some further discussions and deep dialogue on the recommendations, as well as actions that the district took last year with regards to the non-concurrence. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
And again, thank you, Amber, for sharing and being so organized and clear and in giving, information for us to use over the next week and return on Monday. And will it just be Jen coming and presenting, or you will have Amber and others maybe that come to the COW? Great, okay.
Encouraging others from APAC and even
And again, thank you to Assistant Superintendent for all of the documentation you put into Board Book last Friday and the ability for us then to review that as well. And if there's questions from board members during the next 4 or 5 days, would we reach out to Assistant Superintendent?
That's correct. They can reach out to me, and/or if you want to reach out directly to Coordinator Garbo, that's okay as well, but either one of us.
You know, sometimes it's just nice if we have questions to share them either with Assistant Superintendent so that Amber and Jen, right, yeah, get a chance to know what questions we might come forward with so that they have an opportunity to, you know, gather their ideas and show support and answer questions. So we try to do that with our presenters and really want to share our respect for that as well so that we give you the ability to know what kind of questions we might have.
Thank you.
Do you want me to sign this now so that if you leave before the end of our meeting, you have this document, or does this go to Patty, or what is, yes?
We'll upload the documents to MDE tomorrow, which
Okay.
is March 1st.
Sign away,
So-
sign away.
Yes, please, please.
Okay. Again, it was nice to meet you officially, and we look forward to working with you and being a part of our journey together. And I agree that working for ISD 709 is really an honor and an honor. Right. Okay.
I too would like to say that I'm very grateful for the partnership and for the collaboration. And we also have tribal consultation on Monday. So that will be another opportunity for us to have conversation with the Fond du Lac tribe and discuss in greater detail how can we do a better job of serving our American Indian students. I think that all of us know that there is a deep need and dedication and that we need to make sure that we're spending more time, more effort, and partnering in greater detail. We've worked in that direction, but we plan to continue to strengthen those ties and build it into the future.
Thank you. And as board chair, I'd just like to share with members of the board that I've asked Assistant Superintendent and Superintendent Magus whether in the last year, the tribal consultations were, you know, really a great effort on part of our district. And I was able to sit as board chair at those consultations and learned a lot and felt like it was an honor to be there. And so I asked Assistant Superintendent and Superintendent if they thought that having other board members come, there's chairs behind, and a lot of the support staff from our district come, and they're just there for questions or for learning as well. So if any board member going forward, this Monday is one, we've had trouble scheduling it, so this is one of our first ones of the winter. We were probably there in the fall. And last year we were at 5. We're only required, I think, to do 1, but Duluth Public Schools is committed to doing more. And so I encourage any board member that wants to come on Monday. That's a short notice, so I'm not expecting you guys to be able to clear that out. But as we go forward, I certainly will give you those opportunities to come and sit and listen to the dialogue that the Duluth Public Schools has. And sitting in front of the Fond du Lac Tribal Consultation Board of Directors, their leaders, their elders, is just an honor. So it's this Monday from 8 to noon. If anybody wants to go, reach out to me and I'll give you directions or I'll pick you up, and that will be a great opportunity. Moving on our agenda, we are at reading petitions and communication, and we have none. That's number 8. So then we're going to number 9. And that is the report of the superintendent, and under that are the reports from our student and school board reps, our superintendent's report, and then just a review of our schedules of our meeting. Was there any questions before we left the concurrence and non-concurrence? I felt like, no, we're good? Okay. So we're on to number 9, Superintendent Magus.
Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity to share again this month. My superintendent's report. Again, we always focus and make sure that everything we do is focused on our mission, vision, and core values. You'll also see on the displays out front that those are things that we're displaying on a more regular basis too, really trying to make sure that these are not just empty words, but it's part of the work that we do every day. And so tonight we have a variety of topics. First and foremost, we want to hear from our students. We really focus on our desired daily experiences of our students, staff, and families. And if we think about who we serve, we're here to serve our students. So really thinking about our student representatives, Representative Miller, Representative Petronas, and Representative Ritzko. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I got it right. Just thinking about those, who is first this month? Do you have a preference? I can go. Thank you. And then you can pick who follows you.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Mia Petronas, East Student Representative. I'll start by sharing about East Student Government. We held our Sweetheart Dance for upperclassmen on February 3rd. We had that at Clyde's Malting Building, and the venue was decorated to fit the theme of Enchanted Forest. We had a turnout of over 400 students, and overall, it was a very enjoyable experience for everyone. Back in late January, Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon spoke to student government in some history classes during second hour in Wynn. He had a presentation that was based around voting registration. East's winter activities and sports have had some really great accomplishments this season. The Drama Club's one-act play placed second at sections. The boys' swim team currently is sending 7 East students to state. Our ski teams were extremely successful at their state competition a couple of weeks ago. Girls Nordic team placed first in the state. Boys placed second. And 4 skiers from East, James Kais, Lydia Kraker, Carl Morse, and Greta Hendrickson, are all competing at Junior Nationals for skiing in March. To send off our state teams, we had some dog runs for each of the groups, where the participating state members will run around the school, and then we'll have a little bit of a celebration with cake, and all the students in the school are invited to come hear about the accomplishments that these teams have made. And next Tuesday during WIN, we are having an all-school assembly to celebrate all of these successful groups. This weekend, 18 East students are participating in History Day regionals at UMD. And registration for next year's classes is coming up in the next couple of weeks. And with that, discussions about a 7-period day have been very, very prevalent amongst students and teachers. I'm aware that the board has heard plenty of thoughts on this, but it still is important to me to highlight these thoughts and opinions of my peers. There are many students who are super glad to have opportunities for more classes, especially those who are interested in taking both art or music along with a language. So those extra opportunities for electives are really important to some people. However, a lot of people are gravitating towards a more unhappy approach to the idea of a schedule change, which isn't too surprising because change is difficult. A major concern for these students is the loss of a WIN period. Nearly every East club meets during WIN periods. Similarly, it's useful for making up tests and catching up on homework, so a lot of people really have a lot of things to make up during these times that they find really crucial this WIN period, but also a lot of activities and assemblies are held during that time. But on another note, this week East hosted a music contest for both soloists and small group ensembles during the school day, and we hosted 7 different schools at East during the school day. Over break, 14 members of Sterling Strings traveled to Chicago, and they performed at the Chicago Temple. And lastly, as student representative, I get to be in charge of Student Forum at East, which is a really beneficial tool for me getting to speak to a wide variety of students. We have that usually the second week of a month, and we have underclassmen and upperclassmen of who, if they choose to participate, they can. And it started out at the beginning of the year, a kind of smaller group, but we're really working to grow that program in order for me to get plenty of feedback so I can bring you even more varied opinions. And yeah, that's all I have for this month. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And Representative Ritzko.
My name is Larissa Miller. Today I will be doing the Denfeld School Board Report. First, a couple of updates I wanted to bring up was the basketball senior nights. The girls' basketball was on February 12th and the boys was on February 9th. It was very successful. There's a lot of people that came. There's gifts brought out. It was very fun. The girls' basketball playoff is actually today at Rock Ridge, and then the boys is on March 6th. William Faldesi is going to state for Nordic ski, which is very fun, and he's had a lot of hard work going there. And then also to bring that up is robotics is going to Lake Superior Regional at the deck this Friday and Saturday competition. And then typically we have them like run through the hallways so everyone can cheer them on. Theater auditions are coming up for The Outsiders. It was on February 26th and 27th, so I'm excited to see the cast for that. 8th grade orientation is March 5th, 5 to 7 p.m. Volunteers are fully welcome with the students specifically, like NHS and Link Crew. Registration is opening up for March 1st to March 25th. Class meetings are beginning next week. Juniors Tuesday, March 5th, sophomores Wednesday, March 6th, and freshmen Friday, March 8th. Spring conferences are concluded as of like last week. This time we used an open cafeteria, which was really interesting. It was a new way for Denfeld to have more accessibility for students and families. We heard great feedback from the families and even the teachers. More outlook, especially, is easier and flexibility for us. And then the 8th graders at Lincoln Park got their materials handed out. Next, I want to talk about the clubs and just some more like classes that are going on at Denfeld. First off, BSA, Black History Month, is this month, February. Happy Black History Month. BSA, we've been working on a lot of things. So first, the assembly. We included a Wild and Out. It was like a rap scene, but it included a lot of history about great history figures, including we had a fashion show. I dressed up as Rosa Parks. It was Harriet Tubman. Like, it was very fun. The major attraction dance team. Dance and a microaggression skit, and then we had the African American National Anthem, which was very fun, and we got to educate our peers. Also for BSA Black History Month, we had a door decker competition. It was kind of late notice, so we didn't have much teachers or WIN classes that did it, but we did have some outcomes, so we got to decide the winner of that the other day. BSA Pottery Night was actually tonight, and the BSA Decorations and Spirit Week. Last year, we've had a lot of progress compared to last year when we were trying to get this brought up again for February, and I think it was a very successful Black History Month this year. Golds, the student government class, is working on Friday's student versus staff basketball game before lunch. There's an incentive for this. So there was like competition for what class had the least phone referrals. So seniors won, so they get snacks and they get to go to the game. Juniors, they get to go to the game, and then sophomores and freshmen have to watch it during class on a board. Yeah. The Rotary Club decided on equipment for the science, for gathering information. Wait, okay, Rotary Club decided on a grant. They decided to use equipment for the science classes, and we are still gathering information and what is needed for those. At the Career Center, Lauren Furty is working on some great things. We've had a lot of college readiness things on yesterday. Readiness construct was on Wednesday. Sophomores had to decide if they wanted to do that or a career fair next month. And that was a great opportunity to focus on readiness. The multicultural room is finally available to start moving things in. I would say that is a success. The bathrooms on the 3rd floor have been opened again. There's construction and now there is concrete walls because there was too much damage before. From my peers, I've heard a lot of positive things about it and think it's pretty cool. And it seems like it's pretty structured. We had a cocoa and cram for finals. This was a little last month, but it was January 17th. The link crew and the teachers had volunteered to study and make hot cocoa. There's a good turnout as of every year. Plant science, this was a few months ago, but I wanted to bring this up just because of CTE. They had a fundraising. They sold plants that they've grown. They made $2,000 in total, which I think was a great success that I wanted to bring up. NHS tutoring for every single day during Mickle's win is very important. The criterion is back for a newspaper for the school, highlighting students' thoughts and clubs and everything that's going on, even just feedback for the school. ASL Club has started again, new and improved, no longer virtual like, yeah. Okay, no longer virtual Zoom meetings anymore. It's actually going to be in like a classroom. Deaf history, culture, and language is going to be provided. Mr. Nissen is taking a plunge on February 17th. Then the Denfeld Key Club raised money for Special Olympics. And then a concern that I had brought up was the doors at Denfeld for safety concerns, especially like during fire drills or like drills just in general. Some of the doors go inwards. Some of the doors, if you push them out, they can't secure correctly, even if you have like something inside of the door, it won't go out correctly. I think this was brought up again, but this is going to be a further discussion. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for our last representative, we actually have a presentation that we'll put on the board. And thank you, Damon.
My presentation isn't as fancy as On Tonight on CBS News as the other two, but I got a slideshow, so I win. So hello everyone, my name is Damon Ritzko, and as of January 29th, 2024, I was elected to be the official Area Learning Center's ALC student representative. I plan on taking this task very seriously, and I want what's best for the student body. At the beginning of the semester, the staff set up a Minnesota Early Indicator Response System, or MIRES, survey for the students to take. It was either done online by the students themselves, or the staff would verbally ask the students the questions one-on-one, and they would hopefully answer as honestly as they could. So this got me thinking, and I eventually came up with a hypothesis. My hypothesis was, would students feel more comfortable talking to a fellow student rather than an adult? So I quickly went to work. I went to a few staff members where I first pitched the idea to them, and they really seemed to like it. After going around and getting some advice and encouragement from other staff members, I went to my principal, Mr. Nathan Glockley. I pitched the idea to him, and he was exceptionally supportive of the idea and helped flesh my idea into a reality. On Thursday, February 1st and Monday, February 5th, I held interviews with some selected students. Over the course of the 2 days, I had 3 hours to uphold these interviews, and which I saw over 25 students in total that I was able to get information from, and here's what I found. Some things that students liked about the ALC was clearly student-staff connections. A lot of students liked the student-staff connections, basically being able to connect with certain or multiple staff members. And they also liked the smaller class sizes, or smaller, lower student capacity, that's what I meant to say. They really seemed to like that a lot, along with being able to have a flexible schedule. And at the ALC, there are no Fridays, so that's a plus. And there's also shorter class times. I'm not sure what the class times are for Denfeld and East, but at the ALC, it is 40-minute class times. Next is some things that students don't like about the ALC, and a lot of them don't have an opinion. And they basically they're like, I don't know, I like it the way it is. Though some things would be the location. The ALC is located downtown at the corner of Lake Avenue and Superior Street. And to a lot of students, it's, not really the best course of action to get to school, and not really the best area for school. And also some of the students don't like the schedule that was indicated this year. Last year's schedule was only 4 hours long from 8 a.m. to noon, and then the students had the rest of the afternoon off. Though this year it is 5 hours and 40 minutes, so nearly 2 more hours were added to this school year, going from 9:20 a.m. to 3 p.m. A lot of students, including myself, were very distraught about this change, mainly due to the reason of a lot of the students that go to the ALC have jobs that they need to go to pay their rent, and some of the students, unashamedly, are parents, so they can't spend their entire day at school and just leave their children to their parents to babysit for the day, or they can't afford the daycare for the day. And so that's why some of the students didn't like the schedule this year. Next, did students feel like they could have succeeded at their old school? And as you can see in yellow, all of that yellow is a no. That those are the students that could not succeed at either East or Denfeld. And I'm not trying to push blame at all, but that's just clearly what has been shown. There were some students that did say that they could, but they just weren't in either the right mindset, or they weren't in the right environment to succeed. But it is clear that a lot of students that attend the ALC right now could not have even dreamt on succeeding. Why students felt like they couldn't succeed at their previous school was majority a lack of help from the staff members at either East or Denfeld. Due to the high student capacity, which is also on there, a lot of the teachers' attention was drawn to a much larger classroom, which meant that not much time could be divided to each individual student. And sometimes this would lead to mental health issues, which was another reason why students didn't feel like they could have succeeded. I also must add that some of the students came from other schools, other than East or Denfeld, so just saying that right now. Okay, why students came to the ALC in the first place. The majority was in red, was bad grades. Clearly there was a majority that just could not have succeeded, and 10.3% couldn't be in a traditional school environment due to a multitude of reasons, which is the other parts of the pie chart. Either truancy issues, problems with peers, getting in trouble in school, mental health, etc. Just a lot of issues that just compiled into bad grades. What students thought would be good improvements at the ALC, and in green, that is more electives and/or clubs. The ALC only has 4 options for extracurriculars, which is health, gym, work experience, and art. I'm currently in two art classes, both 5th and 6th hour because obviously of the only 4 elective options. In either next year or the year after that, the staff are going to begin to implement more extracurriculars and some more clubs into the school, hopefully. And also, another thing is the lunches in yellow. Due to the more freedom side of the ALC, students are allowed to leave at any point of the day and won't, obviously they'll get in trouble, but they won't be directly reprimanded for just like getting up and leaving. They won't get reprimanded for that. And a lot of students at the ALC really don't like the lunches. One student that I interviewed, which I remember distinctly, when I asked this question, they said, lunches, it be soggy. I'm not joking, I am quoting them directly. But yeah, like, the lunches, like, obviously, I don't know the budget of the school, like, but that is just something that I would like to throw out there for a future improvement. I believe we get the majority of our lunches from Denfeld, but maybe East at times, though I'm not completely sure. Lastly, why students feel comfortable going to the ALC staff. And the majority said that in dark green, that the staff are kind. And in dark blue or bright blue is respectful. In like a peachy watermelon color would be comforting, and the lighter yellow is confidentiality. All of these make the staff at the ALC exceptional. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, staff at the other schools are horrible. But I'm just saying that that is part of the reason why students exceptionally love the staff at the ALC and feel very comfortable with going to them for problems, whether it be just school problems or other types of problems like personal problems, home problems, doesn't matter. The staff will always be there for our students, and I am not on a student-teacher basis with most of them. I am on a like genuine friendship basis with most of them because that is just how open they are and how loving they are. And that concludes my slideshow. That's it from me. Thank you for listening. And I don't know if there's like a little section for questions, but if not, that's okay. But yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that I'm very impressed. It's hard to continue my superintendent's report after these three student reports. I think we could just mic drop and I'll go home. Thank you. Yeah, we've had very exceptional student representatives in the past, and I would say that you are living up to, if not exceeding, the high standards that we've already had. And I think this report sharing student perspective on your school, it's very rich with knowledge and information that helps us in our leadership positions help serve students better. So again, I think these are 3 perfect examples of how having student representatives as part of our board process is very, very important and very exceptional. And I'd like to extend a very thankful, happy School Board Appreciation Month to you too, because you're serving very well in that role. Thank you. And I will share my screen again. And just a note, I had talked to Chair Lofold prior to the meeting that I have a very early morning meeting in the cities, so I'm going to be leaving after this report, but I'm going to be attending the rest of the meeting virtually through my phone and car system. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility with that. But as far as our other topics for tonight, we have our Duluth Public Schools branding video that was put together by Story North Productions, also an update on negotiations referendum update, update on legislative platform and advocacy, as well as just a quick little note about my upcoming superintendent's mid-year evaluation. So our branding video, and for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't always work, but I'm going to see what I can do here. Here's our new branding video. We have great schools with caring adults, families that support us, a community that supports us, with really engaging educational opportunities, really focused on equity and ensuring that we have great outcomes for every child that attends. No matter where you're from in Duluth, there's a huge connection to the schools. We offer support from birth through adult education.
When you have students at the heart of every decision you make, and I truly believe that for Duluth Public Schools. I've been here a long time, and I feel like that has always been our mission.
We work really hard to make sure that we give diverse experiences and that we highlight diversity in this district.
I would say we're ahead of the curve when it comes to mental health. We have a lot of promising practices in place, whether they're wraparound supports for students, whether it's social emotional learning opportunities, or whether it's different environments that we offer for our kids.
Each student is a unique individual, and we have to treat each student that way. So really solution-focused, evaluating the student where they're at, what can we do to get you back into the classroom.
Our data shows through graduation rates, these kids are being successful not only just within our walls of our building, but beyond.
We're a future-forward district. We believe in making sure that we prepare kids not just for today, but what will tomorrow look like.
We offer a number of programming opportunities for families who are looking for something unique, whether it's taking advantage of our immersion program over at Lowell Elementary School, or whether it's opportunities for high schoolers who are interested in certain career fields.
We are really connecting with what the field needs right now. So if you take courses in healthcare, for example, we're going to take you out to our various community partners who employ students. We have agriculture programs at both sites that are really active in getting students out into the community.
I remember looking at a list of all the clubs and honors classes I could take and just crying because I finally got to try everything that I wanted to.
Denfeld offers a lot of more support to the kids and students, and they help kids succeed more than my old school did.
Knowing that we have educators, administrators, staff in each building to be able to lean on and to get support from, to really dive in and understand what's necessary for the paths that our daughters are interested in taking. That's really important, and we find that here.
As we are journeying through this, we're learning now that technology is essential as a tool, but it's not the be-all and end-all. The human part of it cannot be forgotten. It has to be wrapped together so that we use it as a tool and not the only answer.
The things that make good experiences here is that the teachers that get to know the kids on a personal level, and they personalize what is going on in the classroom for the kids, and making sure that the kids feel seen and heard, loved and cared for and safe.
Over the last 2 or 3 years, we have really spent a lot of energy listening to our families, listening to our staff, listening to our students, more importantly, on the things that they are desiring in terms of their daily experiences.
Whether it was through pandemic times where we had our biggest challenges, or whether it's about how are we supporting kids in a variety of activities, people just step up here in Duluth to support our kids. And it's just a great place to raise children, and it's a great place to be part of education. So again, this video can be something that we use for a variety of marketing purposes. When we have it posted on our website, we use it in social media, but it gives people a feel if they're considering coming to our school district, either as employees or as students or as families who are considering their options. We want to make sure that they know some of the things about what makes Duluth Public Schools a special place to be. Nope. We don't need to see it again now. Great schools with caring adults, families that support us, a community that supports us. It's only 3.5 minutes. Let's see. There we go. As far as a negotiations update, we have our integration specialist contract moving forward for your approval tonight, which is an exciting development. We also have a tentative agreement with the Duluth Federation of Teachers for the 2023-24 25 time period, as well as another for the 25-27 time period. So that would be two two-year contracts as opposed to one. So those are tentative agreements that we have. Site meetings have been taking place, and I believe they just finished today to review the changes that are taking place. And there will be a membership vote that will be anticipated in mid-March. I believe March 14th is the date for that. So we see things proceeding really positively. And when we look at the news from across the state, I think we see that we're in a very good place with our relationship in labor management with our teachers and our other groups. And we also are conducting our director negotiations, as well as some of our individual contracts. And the people on the individual contracts would be our executive directors and our assistant superintendents. So those are we're nearing completion with our negotiations work. Thanks. And as far as referendum updates, we've talked a lot about the referendum last time, but actually it was at our last meeting that we had the vote, and we've had a lot occur in the meantime. We've had a press conference. We had a break. We had a number. We've begun our visits, but we have also had frequent social media and newsletter updates. We have our billboard up on central entrance, and so you can see that rotates through a variety of things related to the referendum. And really, all of this work is intended not to persuade a yes or a no vote, but to make sure that our citizenship is well informed and they can make the right choice for themselves when they come to the ballot box. We also are updating our Story North referendum video. We had a referendum video put together last time, and they've agreed to work with us just to have some updates based on the changes that we have for this one. We also have an op-ed column for the Duluth News Tribune. Chair Lofold, I believe, is with others has crafted that, and we've shared that. I also had an interview with Chuck Frederick from the Duluth News Tribune, interviewing me yesterday and others yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before. It's a bit of a blur about the referendum and where we're going. And then we also have upcoming, and I think this is really important for a variety of reasons. Next week we have a lot of things going on with the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce. We have the Duluth and St. Louis County Days coming up next week, which many of us, if not all of us, will be at. And then we also have in March, as a member of the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce, I'll be sharing and presenting about our referendum at the March board meeting, and I believe that there will likely be a resolution to consider support for the school district referendum. So those are important things that we have, just as far as some of the things that we've been working on. But I want to make sure that we're keeping the board abreast of the work. This is a large portion of the work that we're focused on, and I also am very appreciative of the many board members that have attended many of our site meetings and other things that we have going on. We also have community meetings set up, and Adele has worked with me on those, and those will be advertised and broadcast so that there will be evening events at each of our schools so that we'll be able to meet with our citizenship that are in those areas. We, again, want to make sure that people have as much information about the May 14th referendum as possible so that they can make the choice that's best for them. Also, as I mentioned, our fact sheet has been updated, and you see we have copies of that in your red folders, as well as one of our referendum stickers, and we also have them available here for collectors here in the audience that might be interested in these as well. So you have those to look forward to. And then on our website, much of this information that's on the fact sheet is there as well. We also have updated our tax calculator. That's really exciting. It doesn't sound that exciting, but a tax calculator, you can pull up your parcel number really easily for your property. And I tested it out myself. It took me about a minute to go in, find my parcel number, plug it in, and find out what my tax rate would be. So again, for the average house in Duluth, the average house value is $315,000, and so the amount paid would be about $10.85. But it really does vary. When I put mine in, it turned out that I was only going to be paying a little less than $6. So I think it's important to see that there's a variety. Not everybody is going to be paying $10.85, and I think especially when we look at families that are struggling, we're hearing sometimes from some of our seniors that are worried about fixed income. I think actually plugging in the property value and seeing what you'd be paying, it can lead to some relief there. So those are aspects of our website that are really important. Also, just on another note, our communications officer, Adele Wellens, and the team that worked on our work for the November presentation, we put in for a presentation at the National School Public Relations Conference, and that was just accepted today, so they want us to present. So we will be presenting on that, and hopefully there will be some additional positive information to share once we go through our May referendum vote. As far as legislative platform and advocacy, the school board met on February 8th to finalize our platform, and we also met with local representatives the next day to share those priorities, and we had a really great meeting right here in this room. And the priorities really focus on a broad area. We're focusing on an increase in the funding formula, talking about additional READ Act funding, and that I think is one of the biggest priorities right now. We're really focusing on early literacy practices, and as we discovered in our labor management meetings, we're trying to get as much done as possible with really limited resources, and we need more resources to do this important work right. We also want to make sure that we have permanent funding streams for our unemployment insurance and our school meals. That is really important. Cybersecurity, safety, career technical education, special education, and solar projects are all other areas. And we're also seeking greater flexibility with operating levies as well as long-term facilities maintenance. And you'll see also that we have a copy of the legislative platform in your binder as well. Next week, we'll be having additional advocacy during our Duluth St. Louis County Days next week, as well as other opportunities to advocate with our senators and representatives. And here's for the public, this is what the folded out pamphlet looks like. Really nicely displayed. Has our cover. In the center there, you see a little picture of when we were at the MSBA conference with the school board, as well as a description of some of our challenges and demographics. And then on the inside, you see what does fully funding education look like, as well as our individual priorities, which I mentioned previously, described in greater detail. So this is really quite nice. And again, I know I've been thanking Adele quite a bit this meeting, but I think that this is particularly very nicely laid out. It's one of our best legislative platform handouts that we've had thus far. And then finally, just a reminder that we'll have my mid-year review. It's kind of more of a check-in. It's not the full evaluation, but an opportunity to check in on how I'm doing with my 3 goals. And my 3 goals are focused on bond and levy campaigns. As I've noted, we're focusing quite a bit this year on referenda and levy campaigns, as well as visibility and approachability, serving on boards and other areas, and then making sure that our school improvement our school improvement plans are very clearly linked with our district plan, and that's really something we worked hard on our district strategic plan, and now making sure that our school plans are linked there as well. Any questions?
Superintendent Magus, while we were in the PowerPoint on the referendum, I don't see, so when I clicked on, I'm going to try to find my screen here. When I clicked on the Future Forward link, the one of the buttons isn't functional. No, and did I write it down? The fact sheet, it's on a red button somewhere on one of these. It's when you click it, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's just a note, and maybe I'll be more specific. I know that would probably be Adele, and we can talk to her later. I just noticed, and I did know too that I'll see if it's this. You know, there's many different places where all of this that it's on this site. So the fact sheet just comes up with cannot display PDF fact sheet Duluth 2024. So that's just the tax calculator does work though. And then I know that the frequently asked questions sheet, is it here and I just can't find it? Or I know we just talked about it this week at our referendum updates. I just can't find the frequently asked questions. If it's on there, great. If it's not, maybe it's just because it hasn't been added. Just a
And
couple questions. Otherwise,
yep.
it all looks really great.
I will double check to see where that is linked. I know we were finalizing it this week, and so it probably, that part is probably not up there yet. But you see the goals portion, lists our goals of the referendum, as well as the plan as far as what we're doing. And this is a list of the percentages of what we'd be spending the money on. And again, the many important changes. First of all, it's not just about devices, as you can see. It's about many, many other things, including the addition of career and technical education, which we've heard so much about tonight. So those are some of the things, as well as the cost calculator. And up on top, you can see information on where to vote, resources, and other information. But we'll make sure that that's updated as we go. And we also have more information coming out in this week's newsletter. So really excited about that work.
Chair Lofo, I believe Member Sadowski may have raised her hand.
I did, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Perfect. First of all, thank you, Superintendent Magus, for those updates, especially about the referendum and the negotiations. Those are some good news on the negotiations, and I think I can speak for the whole board saying that we're looking forward to continuing to work hard on the referendum. And then I just had a question for the student reps. I couldn't really see that presentation, and I was wondering if it could be emailed to me. And then if the others wanted to email me their notes, they could, but they don't have to. But wasn't there a presentation by our ALC rep on the screen?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was, and Secretary Paquette said that she'd be glad to email that to you right away. Also, considering the high level of involvement, we quickly went out and Adele made sure that we got pins for our 3 student representatives as well. So I want to share those as we continue with any questions.
Wonderful, thank you.
Member Loeffler-Kemp.
Yep, just real quick, student reps from East and Denfeld. Do you also have in writing what you were reading? So I'm assuming that would be really helpful to share, because you share a lot of great dates and events, and I know I'm all over the websites trying to figure out what I can get to. And so if you wouldn't mind, just if we're going to share that through Patty, and then.
Just so you know, I did get emails and demons tonight, and after they gave it, they did upload onto workbook.
Oh, okay.
To show up, you would probably have to refresh your screen, and then as soon as they get the rest of them uploaded.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We really appreciate that, students.
Is there a way that if our student reps at any point in the months they're with us, because sometimes they're really busy, if their notes are handwritten, would we be willing to have them give them to Executive Secretary Paquette, and she would then transcribe them and print them and maybe get your approval if what you've written is typed and formatted right? I don't know, just a thought. Sometimes I know I come with just my handwritten things, but I know that we'd really enjoy being able to put them up. So just a thought.
And certainly, we don't need them ahead of time. We understand that. Okay, you can have them after. Yeah.
So that concludes our superintendent's report on our agenda, number 10, A, B, and then A, B, and C, and then the schedule of meetings and events. I know they're here, but I think I always appreciate when board members do a double check too, because there have been times when we've added a meeting and then it's not here, but I do notice that, next week is busy, and then Superintendent Magus reminded us of the March 11th special closed session for a mid-year evaluation. But are there any dates that any board member notices we might not have on here? March 4th is our policy, followed by our monthly committee of the whole, and that switched from a Tuesday to a Monday, which is unusual for us, but it's because we are traveling down to our legislative session with Duluth to advocate for education. And so moving on to our agenda item number 10, number 10. Actually, number 9 was the report of superintendent. So we're on 10 with our committee of the whole, our HR business, and our policy. And Superintendent Magus, are you going to depart? Is that what you're going to say?
So basically, I just want to, mentioning other dates, I figured I could work that into transition. Tomorrow morning, I'll be attending in person the Association Metropolitan School Districts Board meeting, and that's always a great event, but it's also honoring Dr. Gothard, the superintendent from St. Paul, who was selected as the National Superintendent of the Year, which is the top honor for superintendents, and I'm very grateful that he actually served as my mentor as I came into the state, so really had great mentoring from a really great person. And that's why I'm heading on down to the cities, and I appreciate the flexibility on the part of the board to let me attend the rest of the meeting virtually. Thank you.
And then I'll just piggyback, and I'm glad he mentioned tomorrow mornings, because I forwarded to all board members earlier this afternoon an AMSD email that has a Zoom link, because we are invited to that opportunity. We have, as a board, gone down to the AMSD day at the Capitol, and we've also attended their, is it like October conference that offers great sessions. And I will maybe defer to Executive Secretary Paquette, but also to my Vice Chair, Rosie. And I don't often remember to send you the email, and they don't send it to all of us. They send it to me, and I attend, and they're 7:30 to 9 o'clock, and we can attend Zoom. The email I forwarded to you has the Zoom link so that you can attend that meeting tomorrow if you want to, and then it's it's one Friday a month. So, question.
And then another meeting that if you don't like the 7:31, do the 9 to 9:30 that the NSBA does during the legislative session, and it's their coffee and conversation, if you will, quick legislative updates. So much information they cram in a half hour. They give a lot of good documentation to follow up with as well, and that's always from 9 to 9:30. And you all should have information on that from their emails that they regularly send to all of us. So I really enjoy that.
So 7:30 to 9:30, you can sit and watch Zoom meetings or listen to it on the phone. Okay. Lots. Moving on to number 10, report of standing committees. I'll turn it over to number A as Committee of the Whole, and Assistant Superintendent Bonds leads us through that.
Thank you, everyone. And the meeting was held on the 6th of February. It does seem like eons ago, and I'll try to be brief. Superintendent Magus provided a state of the district. He shared some insights related to our strategic planning process as well as his goals. Nate Smith, the coordinator for the Education Equity Office, provided some feedback related to the Education Equity Advisory Subcommittees. During this presentation, a description of the advisory committee was provided, as well as the work of the existing subcommittees. There's also information related to the work that the subcommittees are working on this year. Adele Wellens and Shalon Monroe, they provided an update related to our communications and family engagement efforts throughout the district. During this presentation, they provided an overview of the communications and family engagement efforts at the district level. They also shared a draft of the family engagement framework for the year. Director Larva Jen Larva, as well as our TOSA, Teacher on Special Assignment, Dale Usman, provided the annual course catalog changes update. And that concluded the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. That's right. That's what we did. And again, for our viewing on our YouTube site or our live stream, or those of us in the audience, the Committee of the Whole meeting is usually the first Tuesday of the month. And it's coming up next week on Monday. But that is where there are no votes taken. There's no formal action by the board. It is an incredible wealth of information that's shared with us from all of our leadership in different departments in our district. So I appreciate the review of that. So everything that Assistant Superintendent just mentioned, we heard presentations from, and they're in board book for our audience to look at as well. So then I'm going to move to B. It's Human Resources, Business Services. That's led by Chair Member Eder as our chair of the HR business. So I'll ask her to review that meeting.
Great, welcome everybody. It's always a blast to talk about HR Business Services, right? So we had our meeting on Tuesday, February 13th, which feels like forever ago as well. So we'll run through this agenda. We started out with no guest presentations at this meeting, and then we had a great HR monthly departmental report from Executive Director Severance, where she highlighted again where we see more hires than resignations when we look at our staffing updates, and we still have a tremendous amount of staffing that we need, including custodians, bus drivers, and all sorts of different areas. We'd love to have you come work for us. Some other HR department updates is now the Human Resources team has collectively started an HR newsletter, which I think is going to be very beneficial for our employees. That's going to talk about making the New Year resolution work for you. I better read that. Employee assistant program information, employee referral programs, workplace injury, information on your W-2s, and all other types of helpful information that can come out of Human Resources. HR and our drive to make sure that we are a fully staffed district and that we bring as many people in to come and experience our great atmosphere here. Went to the Hermantown Chamber of Commerce Job Fair on February 8th, and they had some great focus and some great attendance to that. And this was primarily focused on hiring some non-teaching. Sorry, my son is calling me right now. He's very distracting. Okay. Primarily focused on hiring non-teaching positions. On April 1st, our team will attend a teacher-focused job fair that's being held in Shakopee to try to bring those teachers into our districts, and this one is going to be replacing one that usually is held by the universities and colleges of Minnesota. We've also had some career fairs that are going to be held at Denfeld and East. The Denfeld Fair will be on April 3rd, and the East Fair is scheduled for April 10th. This is a great way for us to have our students think about us not just as their school district, but maybe as a future employer. The team has been working hard on some statutory processes that are required for reporting in things like our W-2s, our 1095s, pay equity, civil rights data collection, and the Affordable Care Act. We are starting the benefits department is starting to host their retirement sessions. The first one was on January 17th, and we'll continue to do that throughout the year. And the department is also working on our annual ACA report. We have our hiring updates that you can look when you look in board book, and I am so happy to talk about our contract negotiations. Superintendent Magus talked about it earlier, but we're going to be voting on an agreement with our ISPEC, so that's great to get that approved. We also have had some great work done with the Duluth Federation of Teachers. We hope to see that contract come through in March. We do have a tentative agreement, not just for a 2-year contract, but for 2 2-year contracts, so that's great news. The DFT will be voting on that contract in March, and we look forward to seeing that come to the full board so we can all enthusiastically vote for that. So that was our HR. Did I leave anything out? Yay. Okay. Moving on next to our business services, we have our monthly enrollment report. And as I always like to point out, you can see that we still have more students enrolled in our district than what we budgeted for. So that is some good budget management there. We are running about around 79 100 students. So that's great. That is our enrollment report, and we continue to be happy with the new way that enrollment report data is being shared with us as a board. We move on to child nutrition, continuing the trend for this year since the state of Minnesota is paying for our breakfasts and our lunches for our students. We see an increase in utilization for both breakfast and lunch. We have a new child nutrition computer system that's going to be rolling in. This is great. I love the farm to school activity. Carrots were purchased from a food farm in Esco, so our students get to eat some locally fresh produce that was produced here in the Northland. And that was from fresh foods. That was from a fresh fruit and vegetable grant that is in place at Myers Wilkins. So not only is it a great opportunity for those students to eat that fresh food, but then they also learn about how it is produced. Wild rice was purchased from Masters Maple in Cohasset, Minnesota. Students will be enjoying this wild rice in a brown rice blend and in some schools a wild rice soup. Yay! So after the wild rice purchase, our funds for the 23-24 school year will be used up as child nutrition tries to buy locally when it is available, but we want to make sure we are fiscally responsible. And that concludes our child nutrition departmental report. Moving on to facilities, the past month, as usual, our facility crew does a great job in completing work orders and getting things done in time. When we think about our capital and our construction, Smith, Bell, and Clock has begun their work at the Denfeld Clock. We know that our students from East fabricated those clock, what are they called? The little hands, the little clock hands. But we know that the internal workings of that clock couldn't quite couldn't quite turn them the way they needed to be turned. So we're going to do some work on our Denfeld clock tower so we can make sure those East students' hard work is being able to shown to the city. We are working on our Duluth News Tribune building, some schematic design so that we can get ready to move into that building. And we're probably going to come up with a new name for that building coming up pretty soon. So that's to be look forward to that. Horizon Pools has been awarded the bid for the Lincoln Park pool restoration. I know that our community in Lincoln Park and our students are really looking forward to that. And then we also need to get a new sand filtration system. That concludes our facilities report. Moving on to our technology report. We can see technology. We are continuing to work with our staff across the district to make sure we keep them educated and we keep our all of our IT infrastructure safe from any cybersecurity attacks. What is usual for this time of year is we see our Google Spaces being used quite a bit, so our students and our staff are just chugging along as far as our technology right now. And lastly, when we look at transportation, staffing is probably one of our biggest challenges in transportation. We're still short 2 helpers, and we're also short on some drivers, and you can see that happening in the community. I know it's happened with me a couple times where the buses are running a little bit late or not quite on time, but we know that our transportation department is working as hard as they can to make sure they minimize that impact. Our assistant transportation manager, Joe, he does a great job, and when he needs to, he gets out there and drives when he has to. We did, just to talk about the challenges of hiring and keeping our bus drivers. We had a driver that went through the entire hiring process at the end of December, but he never chose to come back because of some of the impediments that we have, not for us in our hiring process, but through the federal and state government. We know we have our new buses here, but we still have, our buses still have some age and some rust. We're looking for 2 used buses that should arrive shortly. And unfortunately, Jill, we had to, those 2 vans, they're going to have to wait a little bit, right? Aren't they back ordered, the vans?
No, I think they're here. No?
Oh, see, there you go.
I've got one. We're going
We're
next
going
weekend.
places. So those are our business services report. Oh, did it? So it's, see, I'm happy, Jill. Yeah. So that concludes our business services. We have one recommended resolution, which is acceptance of donations for the Duluth Public Schools. And when we read those, we can give thanks and gratitude to those people in our community that lift up our schools and our students. What we will have on our consent agenda is our HR staffing report. And we have an inclusion of a job description for a systems administrator and database programming specialist. This is just going to be realigning a job to more closely fit with what the people who do that job are doing. So this is really a realignment. This has nothing to do with hiring a new position. Reclassification, that's what I was looking for. In finances, you can see our financial report and then our list of fundraisers. It's always great to look at our fundraisers. For bids, RFPs, and quotes, we have an RFP for electrical engineering services. You can find that on page 23. For our contracts, change orders, and leases, Lowell Elementary School Building envelope and cafeteria expansion project is on there. Looking on page 38, we have a pay equity report, and that pay equity report is required by the federal government, and that report essentially looks to make sure that we have pay equity across gender and jobs in the district. Am I describing that correctly? Oh, is it state? Okay, state. We have some expenditure contracts as well. Let me get there. So we have a variety of expenditure contracts that are coming through this month. We also have some no-cost contracts, and unfortunately, we have no revenue contracts, but we hope to see those in the future. And then lastly, we do have some grant applications, and those grant applications, let me get there. Maybe I don't have any, or do I not have any this month? Maybe I have one grant application to talk about, and that was through Northeast Service Cooperative CTE, and I think this is appropriate from what we saw from our principal on special assignment for career and technical education. The amount requested is $18,000 for this grant. And that concludes our HR business services. Are there any questions? Great, thank you.
I think I had a question, but now I can't look where I wrote it down, so I guess that will just have to go by the wayside. I'm sure I'll get an answer if I really need to. Okay. Now it's on to our last committee report. It's our policy committee that's chaired by Member Loeffler Kemp as the chair. So I'll turn that over to her.
Okay, thank you. And we don't have anything as exciting as bands, even though when Sarah Michael and I were at East today, the principal was very excited about bands. So just FYI there. But we are going to talk about playgrounds, and so that's pretty exciting. Our policy committee met on Tuesday, February 6th, and that seems like eons ago to me. But we had a few things on the agenda. The first was policies for first reading, and and all of these will be on the consent agenda again. So policies for first reading is 811, playground installation and maintenance. And then we're deleting policy 3045 and 7115. And just kind of a reminder for new folks where you will see us continually deleting policies that have a 1,000 series as we're replacing them with the model policies from the School Board Association and the Superintendent Association, and their series are 800s. This, though, is a policy that I really want to thank Brian Brown, our facilities director, Taylor Dickinson, who's a consultant with IEA, and then our newly hired Lexi Nuff, who is our health, safety, and environmental person. They really worked on this. They also got feedback from some of the parent groups that have brought concerns around playgrounds to our attention as well. So a lot of time has been gone into this policy. And I always like to read just what the purpose of the policy is. The purpose of this policy is to establish criteria and procedures for the installation and maintenance of playgrounds, on district-operated property. This includes when community groups fundraise or apply for grants for playgrounds to be located on district-owned property, for playgrounds that are installed by the district, and for playgrounds that are currently in place. And a lot of this policy also just really works to cover the legalities and the liabilities that we as a district need to cover. When we had the presentation by these folks, also just learned a lot about playgrounds in general. And one fun fact to share with people is every 6 months, our playgrounds are inspected. So that's just a good thing to share with people. The rest of the policy, though, goes into definitions, and there was a lot of time that went into defining, because we also have nature playscapes. We have many different types of playgrounds in our district right now, which is really a wonderful thing. So you'll see the definitions, safety standards, a section on currently installed playgrounds. And again, the people who inspect our playgrounds are certified playground safety inspectors. So that was some new information. It goes on to talk a section on ongoing maintenance, repairs, and inspections, and then a section on new installation process. And as always, our policies have legal references or cross-references with state laws. And so we're having a first reading on this. We will have a second reading next month. But a lot of good information was presented to us, and I really appreciate, I know a lot of work went into this, and I want to thank Teresa Severance, who also did a lot of work on this as well. So that is our playground installation and maintenance policy 811. The second policy then is policy 604, and this is instructional curriculum. And with this one, we're deleting policy 6041, 6125, 6130. And again, we're deleting it because it's in the new policy. So a lot of the information is just reframed in the new policy. And again, we want to thank Jen Larva and Dale Luzman, who put a lot of time into this policy. The purpose of this policy is to provide for the development of course offerings for students. And it has a general statement of policies. It has the required academic standards. It reviews the parental curriculum review. It reviews CPR and AED instruction, which are required. And Laura LaFontaine, who's an East Health teacher, spent some time on this one. And then college and career planning, there's a section on that. And Denise Siebel gave information on that. And then it has, again, the legal references and cross-references. So this policy, again, is in its first reading. There was some discussion about if this policy should include vaping education. So we'll have another opportunity in the second reading to talk about that. Vaping education is already covered in a different policy, policy 419. And so Dale and Jen felt that it was covered there. And then there will be a regulation form that, or not a regulation form, a form that will be presented to us in its second reading around, I think, the review, parental curriculum review. Other than that, that is, again, a first reading with the deletion of those three other policies. We did not have any policies for second reading this month. And then another policy for deletion is policy 5055, which is reporting to parents. And I want to do just a quick explanation on this. Is our staff put a lot of time into looking at policies and seeing if our policies are covered in other ways in the district. And so this policy, the purpose is basically, it talks about how we contact parents, how we use school progress reports, conferences, that kind of thing. And really, they felt like it was covered in our student handbook. And I just brought this as a little show and tell. The handbook goes out to all families in the fall. It also is online, and it is covered in kind of a number of different ways in that. And for new board members, a lot of work goes into this handbook every year by a broad range of staff across the district. We approve it, usually in July, I think it is, when it comes in front of the board as well. So there's another opportunity for us. But, you know, just a lot of work went into, particularly this year, revising the student handbook. So it was recommended that this policy could be deleted because when we revised the handbook for this year, it's really covered kind of in a number of different ways. And I went to it to just kind of see myself as well. So that's policies for deletion. And then regulation and forms, again, we don't vote on this. This is more informational for us. This is how our staff do their work with the policies we create. So for informational purposes, we have a formal request for reconsideration on instructional resource or specific library material. So that was our policy meeting. Did I forget anything?
The only thing I was going to add was for the policy for deletion, 5055, another reason why all that information is now in our student family handbook. But there was also some outdated information on grades in the grading systems, and so that was no longer relevant. So that policy is not needed.
Thank you. Okay. Again, this will be on our consent agenda, and our next policy meeting will be on Monday, March 4th at 3:30. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And, but again, the policies that Chair Loeffler-Kemp just went through still could be revised. This is the first reading. They're on our consent agenda, but just because we accept the consent agenda, these policies still need one more month for any of us potentially to, you know, work through, or our staff to think that maybe there's something that's in there. But again, if you love policy, the policy committee is really the place for your talents to be and for our community. You know, I think when they have highlighted all of us this month as the, you know, school board recognition month, I think many of you, I don't think I did, but I think many of you talked about the real strong role that school board members play is in policy. And you can see why. But it is staff that are really heavily expertise in these policies. But again, I think Member Loeffler-Kemp has been our chair for, is this your fourth term as our leader of policy?
Well, we started the policy committee 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a whole history if we ever wanted to dive into, you know, the creation of a policy committee. But the work that you've done, the fact that you're deleting 4 policies this month, and replacing them, and that's really significant that we review and look at policies and delete them if we are creating updated ones and moving forward with an organized policy handbook in the hundreds, 100 through 900 is what you're working for.
And just on that, again, our policies for the public they are on our website, so you can go to them and the number, the title, so they're readily available after we pass them.
See no other lights on, that brings us, and then again, many things that you've heard from the committee reports are on the consent agenda. So we're at 11, it's general board committee updates. Outside of just the really set committees and boards we sit on for being on the school board, all of us are assigned to 2 or 3 other committees that are within our community. And we go there as listeners, we go there as engaged because the committees in our city or in our county have a lot to do with education, so we want to be at the table when they talk, and we want to ask questions, and they want to ask us questions. So does anybody have anything they want to share from a committee meeting you went to this month that we have not reviewed already? Member Loeffler-Kemp.
I'll just keep talking for a minute. So one of the committees I really enjoy being on is the Duluth Public Schools Endowment Fund, and I just wanted to highlight it because this is a committee of often retired teachers and community members, and we give out about $36,000 in small grants to staff or schools across the district. And tomorrow, March 1st, is the deadline for applying. And when member Mike Cassell and I were at the art room at East High School, we had an art teacher say, "Hey, Rosie, I applied for one of those grants. This is what it's going to be about." I was like, "Great." So I just wanted to highlight that. And as a board, we'll get more information as the committee decides on the grants, and then we as a board approve it usually in May. And then the other thing I was just going to mention, a committee I've never been on, which I'm really excited about, is the Federal Grants Committee. And I was out visiting in Lakewood the other day and had a chance to meet with Dr. Sheldon, who's the principal there. And he, besides being principal, oversees our federal grants. And so he kind of caught me up and gave me information. So I'm going to be prepared for my first meeting on that. And then the last one that Member Lofold and I serve on is Labor Management Committee. So we happen to just have a lot of meetings this month. And that just happened during break or before break, but I was on break. So I have to say I did participate, but I was in a sunny spot. So I think I was in and out a little bit. But one of the things they focused on was on the READ Act. And then also on the middle school scheduling. So lots of good discussion happens on some of the same things that we are discussing at this table in the Labor Management Committee. And Jill can share more if she wants to, but like I said, I was kind of enjoying vacation at the same time. So I was in and out a little bit.
Member Mike Cassell.
Earlier this month, Member Sadowski and I had the opportunity to attend our first of the year intergovernmental meeting. Unfortunately, no representatives from the City Council were able to attend due to conflicts that they had in their schedules, so we met with County Commissioner Grimm. It was an informal conversation just because it was the 3 of us, but we did share some information with Commissioner Grimm about the referendum and ways that we could possibly collaborate in terms of getting the word out about that vote. Commissioner Grimm also shared some information that she had about funding streams from like tax forfeited lands, and then also COVID dollars running out with Check and Connect, and just having some conversations about what those streams might look like in the future.
Can anybody see if Member Sadowski has any committee? Oftentimes she'll want to share EAC or.
I did have my hand up actually, so thank you, Member Lofald. I was just going to share, well, actually last month I was triple booked because EAC happened the same night as the Head Start Policy Council meeting, and there was a closed session. So I chose to go to the Head Start Policy Council meeting that evening because I had missed the January meeting because of, I think it was the MSBA conference that we were all at. So it was my first time attending. Sherry Williams was there. I got to meet several parents. So for me, it was kind of a chance to introduce myself. I talked a little bit about the referendum that's coming up, and really just got a chance to listen to the parents and meet them. And it's neat because there's from all over the district, from different schools. And they spent some time reviewing their policies at that meeting and kind of some of the way that they operate their meetings. So that's my little update on the Head Start Policy Council.
And again, I know that we all attend a lot of different things or go to events in our community too, but, you know, I'd like if one or two of us will share what we went to that month. Just, you know, other board members, we forget who serves on intergovernmental or who's on Parks and Recs or who's on Parent Advisory. I was going, or federal grants. I was like, oh, are you on that one this time? Okay. Okay, because I was on it last time and it was like, okay. Okay. Anybody else? So that brings us to our consent agenda. And so again, there is a number of items on the consent agenda. You've been able to see it in board book. Is there any questions, concerns, anything that on the consent agenda I'll be asking for? Well, I'm going to ask for a motion first to accept the consent agenda and a second, and then I'll open it for discussion. So do I have a motion to accept everything that's on the consent agenda?
So move.
Member Eaters moves it. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Loeffler Kemp seconds. And now, is there any questions, concerns, items on the consent agenda that you would think need an address? I have one, which is really, it's funny and it's late. There's not many of us here. Sometimes we get a little less formal as the night goes on. But so I don't often spend just a ton of time looking over like minutes or things on here because so much of what's on the consent you guys are going to share and talk about. But when I looked at the regular school board meeting minutes, it lists assistant superintendent as Superintendent Bonds. It does. I think it's one of the first. I know. It's on the minutes. I think it's the very first one on January 23rd, 2024. There's just one thing that he approved or that he spoke on or something, and it says Superintendent Bonds. And I went, okay, I think, well, you know.
Congratulations.
You know, and look, that chair is gone, so.
I may be remote, but I'm still superintendent.
We chime in.
I believe because it's a minor change like that, we don't need to have an amendment. Is that correct, Chair Loeffler?
That would be correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think we all recognize who is the assistant superintendent and who is the superintendent. But it was a typo, so we'll go there. And thank you, Superintendent Magus. We're glad you're still paying attention. Part of it was just to see if you were, you know, as well. So seeing.
I would say without just, Assistant Superintendent Bonds does such a fabulous job. He's very highly capable and would be a great superintendent as well as an assistant superintendent, honestly.
I know, that's why we have such a great team of leaders in our district, because we are all have a lot of skills and are smart. So thank you. So we have a motion and a second, and we have to do a roll call vote for the consent agenda.
Okay, Member Banks?
Yes.
Member Derogator?
Yep.
Yes. Loeffler Kemp? Member Lofold?
Yes.
Member Michaelsell?
Yes.
Member Sadowski?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 6-0, it passes.
Thank you. That brings us to 13. It's the resolutions, and we were so busy with our community and with our CTE celebration that we've got 4 of them, and I usually assign all of you to read them. But we're also moving away from reading complete resolutions. Through our board training and through talking with MSBA leadership, they do always think it's great to read the resolution of acceptance of donations. We don't, not even that. But it is nice to recognize all of the donations that we have. So we've got 4 of them. Chair Eater of Finance, why don't you take the donations? And then I'll just, if Member Michaelsell, just on the resolutions, 14A, and then Member Loeffler Kemp, 14B, and then I'll do 14C. And it's just really naming the number and the topic. You don't have to read the whereas clauses. 13A is member Eater, and then 14A is member Mike Sell, and 14B, the legislative platform, is member Loeffler Kemp.
So we have Resolution B-2-24-4015, which is acceptance of donations to the Duluth Public Schools. We have quite a few donations coming from many of our community members for ALC, for the student holiday, for the Area Learning Center, excuse me, for their student holiday auction. So we have quite a few of those. We also have some going to Denfeld, Piedmont, Laura MacArthur, Congdon, Lester Park, Lincoln Park Middle School. So we have several donations coming from all over the cities to many of our different schools. So I move Resolution B-2-24-4015 forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Mike Sell seconds, so we'll do a roll call vote.
Member Banks?
Yes.
Member Derek Eater?
Yep.
Yes, Loeffler Camp. Member Lofold?
Yes.
Member Michaelsell?
Yes.
Member Sadowski?
Yes.
It passes 6-0.
Thank you. Those are the donations. And I think, well, a few are monetary, but there's a number of them that are in kind, which is also very nice as well. So moving on to 14A, it's a special resolution for school board members to attend Duluth Days at the Capitol.
Yes, I am going to move Resolution SP-2-24-4014. It's a resolution for the school board members' attendance at Duluth and St. Louis County Days at the Capitol.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that motion. All those in favor will do a roll call vote.
Member Banks?
Yes.
Member Derek Eater?
Yep.
Yes. Loeffler Camp. Member Lofold?
Yes.
Michaelsell?
Yes.
Member Sadowski?
Yes.
It passes 6-0. Then I'll do Resolution SP-224-40, or excuse me, I was just going to redo yours there.
Member Loeffler Kemp? Member Loeffler Kemp?
Yes.
Did we do a roll call vote for the consent agenda?
We did.
Did we? Okay, I couldn't remember. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Wanted to make sure.
Okay, great. You know this job better than I do, so thank you for checking. Resolution B-2-24-4015, 2024 legislative platform resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 709, St. Louis County, that the attached 2024 legislative platform be adopted. And we did talk about this earlier, and it is really a beautiful informational platform as well. So, and thank you for all your input when we discussed it back before break. So I move Resolution B-2-24-4015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Banks seconds. We'll do a roll call vote on the resolution for legislative platform.
Okay, Member Banks?
Yes.
Member Derek Eater?
Yes.
Member Lofold?
Yes.
Member Loeffler Kemp, yes. Member Michaelsell?
Yes.
Member Sadowski?
Yes.
Okay, it passes 6-0.
This brings us to our last resolution, 14C, and that is that me? Oh, okay.
Can I just ask a quick question?
On what?
So it says approval consent agenda, but is this separate or is it the same? We approve the consent. We approve the agenda, but do we need to approve?
It's the same.
Okay, okay, okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Looks like it's just an extra
Okay,
sheet.
thank you.
So I move resolution HR-2-24-4016, and it's the Education Minnesota Duluth Integration Specialist contract. Is there a second?
Second.
So we'll do a roll call vote on accepting Resolution HR 2-24-4016, which is the resolution for the Education Minnesota Duluth Integration Specialist Contract.
Member Banks?
Yes.
Ooh, I should ask if there was any questions before. We made a motion and we second. Any questions? I didn't do that on any other resolution, so.
That needs to be done, correct?
Yep.
Member Lowfall?
Yes.
Member Meisenstadt?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That brings us to question 15 on our agenda. Is there any questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Eater moves, Member Banks seconds. This is just going to be a voice vote. So all in favor, and I'm going to let Member Sadowski, though, go first so we can hear her.
Yes.
And all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll look at our tech, Bart Smith, and know that our